Hello and welcome back to another episode of Tetris Talk. This is a series that I had been meaning to do or have done previously where we just kind of sit down and talk about just different things and answer any comment questions that you might have for me. Don't have any questions to respond to today, but I did want to talk about a couple of things that I have on my mind. Mainly where we're coming up towards the end of the year, there's been a lot of talk about this COPPA compliancy that's been causing a lot of waves across the YouTube community. And I, of course, have my own level of concerns in regards to remaining COPPA compliant. But at the same time, I'm not overly concerned about it, mainly because I think it's kind of being blown out of proportion a little more than what we actually think it's going to do. Now, basically, if you haven't heard of anything regarding COPPA compliancy, it's an act that's being enforced by the FTC. It's not a new thing. It's been around for a while. It just hasn't been heavily implemented as well as it probably should have been. And this is essentially to assure that children who have access to the internet are not being targeted by advertisements as they don't really get or understand what advertisements are. So it's basically to make sure that the content that they're watching and partaking in is safe for them, for lack of a better term. And I do strive to make sure that my content is family friendly, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I don't care for what's going on, because it's still important to keep an open mind about. And as you'll notice with most of my recent videos and all of my videos in terms of what I will be doing in continuation of making sure that my videos are labeled properly, is I will have a thumbnail or a part of my thumbnail, just the ages 13 plus identifier. Now, that doesn't exempt me from the COPPA compliancy, but it does make it abundantly clear that this is not intended for audiences below a certain age. I also have gone out of my way to make sure that I have an included disclaimer with all of my, in the comment or the description of all of my videos, that further exemplifies that I do not have intentions of marketing or making content for children under the age of 13. Specifically, it will say content created by Pseudo Gameplay TV is not intentionally created for children under the age of 13. Pseudo Gameplay TV is not responsible for children under this age who choose to view the content of their own free will. However, Pseudo Gameplay TV does strive to create family-friendly content and create a safe viewing experience for individuals of any age who view the content that is created and shared. And though that doesn't excuse me from, and that's not the point of me putting that disclosure together, it does not excuse me from the COPPA compliancy that all YouTubers are being required to keep up to pace with. It does make it abundantly clear that my moniker is not to provide or target kids that are under that age. And yeah, there's a whole lot of debate about, well, kids under that age shouldn't be using YouTube at all, but there's always going to be people who are intentionally and unintentionally dishonest. And I know that most of the kids that would create a YouTube account saying that they are of an older age are always going to exist. It's always going to be a thing that happens. That's partially on them, but that doesn't excuse me or anyone else on this platform from making sure that they remain compliant with those guidelines that are now being enforced. Apart from that, I'm not super concerned about things going into the new year. I will still plan on keeping up with my regular upload schedule. I'll continue to make and create those parody videos, and just kind of have fun with the genre as a whole. Because at the end of the day, that's what I strive to do. I strive to create a fun and engaging experience for anyone who might happen across my videos, as long as they are aware that, this any content that I create is intended for children who are above a certain age range. And not intended towards children specifically, but if somebody wants to watch a video, then it is wholly up to their discretion, and I will just continue to make it abundantly clear that it is not my intention for persons under a certain age group to view my content. And I don't feel comfortable with a lot of the other things that I have heard of some content creators doing, such as including a string of expletives at the front of their video, because at the end of the day, we still want to make sure that the content remains friendly and uplifting. And that just doesn't really meld well with what I'd like to do or bring to this platform. So at the end of the day, it's kind of a fun side project for me. Hopefully I can get to the point within the next couple of months where I can start making money off of it. Just as it's always nice to have an extra source of revenue. I do work a secondary job, and I'm still a full-time student. So we'll continue to, work with that and create content, and as well as all the other things that I'm already doing in life. But at the end of the day, this is a passion that I have. I'm not the greatest video gamer on the face of the planet. I'm not competitively viable in a lot of the different games that I enjoy. But at the end of the day, video games and their intention is for you to have fun and enjoy. And that's what I seek to do, and it's what I seek to convey with all of the people who happen across my videos. Because what's the point of doing something if you don't enjoy it, right? I'm not the greatest Tetris player for this game, but as long as people enjoy what's being presented and what's being done, I think that we'll continue to have a good community in the whole sense of what YouTube is and what the community is striving to do or trying to bring to the table. So as long as you enjoy what you're doing, and you keep it appropriate according to the guidelines that have been set up and established that are now being more enforced, then you really shouldn't have anything to worry about. Most of the content that at least that I happen across is set towards a general audience. So it's going to be very similar to that whole discrepancy that we had about the net neutrality a couple of years back, where it was a bit scary to think of or look at in the moment, but at the end of the day, it didn't really have any long standing impacts. And I expect this whole COPPA ordeal to have a similar blowover, where yes, it's something that we need to be, it's something that has importance, but it in the long run isn't going to alter the vast majority of content that is created and shared. So as long as we all do our part to continue to make sure that we upkeep that compliancy, then these big fines that are being levied and threatened really shouldn't impact the vast majority of people who use YouTube as a lifestyle. Now, there's always going to be people that these policies affect, and I mean, I can't provide any sort of legal advice, but those are just kind of some of the precautionary measures that I'm taking to assure that my stance on the content that I create and provide is compliant and within the guidelines that are set up by the FTC. But I guess really the only other update that I want to give from the last episode of Tetris Talk that we had was, as any of you who did watch that video, I did mention that I am currently studying. I'm still in school and I'm studying a lot of different things, but the biggest thing that I am focusing on now is I've decided that I am exclusively going to be studying Spanish, and I do have a couple of things that I do intend to add to kind of integrate that experience into the channel. And for those of you who are concerned about it, don't worry. If I ever do introduce a Spanish character or a moniker, I will be sure to include subtitles so you understand what's going on, as it would be more of a satirical character than anything else. And I do have a couple of ideas of things that I'd like to do with that to kind of build my own kind of platform or persona, if you will. But I am excited for what studying Spanish is going to do for me in the future, and where I'm going to be able to take that as, I mean, the ultimate end goal is to be able to do things such as voice acting, which if you've been watching any of my Let's Plays, in particular the Pokemon Shield Let's Play, which I hope to have back on its feet starting next week, just giving different voices or personas to characters that are implemented. But the future is exciting, and there will be really cool things that'll come around from that. So thanks again for watching. If you do have any questions for me, feel free to leave them in the comments down here below, and I will call back to them and answer them in the next episode of Tetris Talk that we end up doing. So thanks again for watching and for all your support, and we will catch you with our next video tomorrow. Take care.